Good morning, Alberta. I'm John Ashton, and this is the Daily Magazine show for Alberta's NDP. Good morning, Alberta. I've got Della Drury back with me, one of our organizers. Just to let you know quickly, yesterday Brian Mason was talking about home retrofit loans. That's loans you can get with an NDP government to spruce up your place. If you've got drafty windows, if you've got old equipment, you can borrow money from an NDP government interest-free and help fix up your place. Anyway, Della Drury, you were here previously to talk about forests. Today you've got a different natural subject, fossils. And that is no way to talk about the Tories, young lady.
No, it isn't. But I want to give a good old shout out to our candidates across the province. Congratulations to absolutely every one of you for doing an amazing job in this campaign. And a particular shout out to the areas of the province that have fossils, such as Drumheller Stettler, and Addie Rao is our candidate there. And I want to give another shout out to our Grand Prairie candidates, because recently, within the last couple of years, you guys had a new dinosaur discovered up there, which is really neat because the Peace Country doesn't tend to necessarily be thought of as being a bed of fossils and dinosaurs. But it is. There's a Pachyrhinosaurus that was just discovered up there a couple of years ago, and it's going to be commemorated on a coin, a quarter that's going to be released right away. It's going to be really neat. Its skeleton even glows in the dark.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I'm going to start by telling you about the field guides that I would recommend. Last time it seemed to be a good hit. This one is the National Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Fossils, and I think it's pretty damn rad. And the next one is the National Audubon Society Rocks and Minerals. This one will help you determine whether or not you're looking at a mineral or a fossil with the other one. Speaking of the difference between rocks and fossils, I have an example of one of my favorite rocks that started off as something that could have been a fossil. It started off as a sedimentary rock, so there's layers of stuff that get added over millennia and squished down into a rock, and such as a shale, let's say, so a shale that has lots of different layers. And then if you give heat and pressure to it, it will then metamorphosize into a type of rock called schist. You'll see that this one is really good schist, in fact. It's shiny and it has sort of a wavy pattern to the rock itself. Anyhow, that one can be one of the rocks or minerals from your other field guide. Now let's move along to fossils. I'm going to show you a fake fossil first. This is one of my favorite things to find when you're looking at rocks on the ground. You're going to pick up things and think, is this a fossil? In this case, it isn't. It is called a dendrite. So you'll see that there's this pattern on it that looks like it could be some sort of microorganism or whatever, but in fact, it's just a magnesium stain.
So it's not fake just because some guy at tourist trend ripped you off and said it was a fossil, and it's not.
No, but I will show you an example of one that is a reproduction in a minute here. So, as I'm sure you all know, the Earth is mostly covered in ocean and has always been mostly covered in ocean. And in fact, Alberta was mostly covered in ocean for most of its history, which means that we have a lot of marine fossils, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite Alberta marine fossils. So this one is a baccolite. It usually sits on my mantelpiece. Anyhow, a baccolite is a type of marine life that's very similar to a squid. It lives in lived in a really long, narrow tube and lived out the end of it. And so this is an example of that. I hope you guys can see it quite clearly. Anyway, this is from Alberta and its oceans. Another one that is one of my favorites, is a piece of wood. I know that it's similar to a forest, and I know it's not an ocean, but here is a piece of petrified wood. It belonged to my mother at one point. I'm sure you guys have seen better examples of it, but you'll see that the texture of it allows you to identify it as being fossilized wood. When you look at rocks, you'll see the textures and the patterns will indicate whether or not it's a real fossil or just a rock. Now, my absolute favorite fossil of all time actually is a reproduction, John.
Okay.
And it's it's a claw. It's a claw. It's a resin cast of a new type of sauropod that they found about 10-15 years ago down in Wyoming. So this isn't actually an Alberta fossil, but it is one that roamed in our area as well. And this is one of its toe claws, and it would have eaten plants and probably wouldn't have been digging at you. It would have been digging at some dirt.
Okay. So that's not the dinosaur that'd be roaming around the streets bringing down property values.
No, you probably would want to run away screaming if that happened as well, by the way.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, those are some of my favorite fossils. I hope that you will ask me to see them sometime, because I will nerd out completely and show you all of my fossils.
All right. Well, if you want, if you've got any fossil questions or dinosaur-related questions, you can tweet them at me, and I will make Della answer them for you at johnalanashton, or put it on my Facebook page. Della, this has been fascinating. This is why you're such a hit at parties. Okay. Well, you showed us a couple of guides. Is there any good websites or anything like that somebody can go check out for fossils in general, or any other guides other than that?
That's a great question, John. I'm glad you asked. I would recommend maybe checking out the Royal Tyrrell Museum website.
There's a good Alberta vacation.
Exactly.
Actually, go down there to Drumheller once, especially when
the election is done.
When the election's done, go take a road trip down to the Royal Tyrrell Museum. They got fossils there, don't they?
Oh, heck yeah. I really like the fossils down there. They even have dinosaurs, and I'll show you one of my favorite dinosaurs. It's a Parasaurolophus, or a type of hadrosaur, duckbill dinosaur, and it used its crest to breathe. It was actually its nose. It extended from its nose at the front, back, looped around, and there you are. And I'm certain that you'll find examples of that in the Tyrrell Museum.
That's an Alberta dinosaur?
It is an Alberta dinosaur.
All right.
And speaking of your trips around the province, John, I hear that you're going to be going down to Banff.
I am going down to Banff. As promised, I am giving myself a vacation after this election to go to some of Alberta's delicious forests, as you like to call them. I will. Is there anything I should be checking out while I'm in the forests of Banff?
Well, I don't know about, in particular, the forests of Banff, because I've
You're
never
more of
been.
a northern Alberta forest girl, right?
I am. I like northern Alberta, but I would recommend not eating the rocks out there, because rocks aren't edible most of the time. So, but except for your case, John, please feel free. But across the border is an area in BC called the Burgess Shale, and the Burgess Shale is one of Canada's most important fossil beds. It is this incredible ocean floor that was pushed up into the mountains. And on the mountaintop, you're going to see some of the examples of the earliest life forms that Earth ever saw. And you get to see the little fossils on those little rocks,
okay.
on things like shale that I showed you earlier with all the layers.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So, okay, when I'm in Banff, and I'm in the forest, can I just call you and you can tell me if I should eat something or not?
Sure.
All right.
I'll tell you to eat it, John.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
that saves on restaurant bills. Okay, Del Drury, thank you very much for this, and thank you very much for the helpful tips as always. I want to tell you about two special events before we go. We're getting close to the end, but we still got lots and lots of cool stuff that's going to be happening in this campaign. Two things here in Edmonton. On Thursday, Brian Mason will be doing a debate for CBC television and radio with other leaders. It's at noon. It's at the City Center Mall. Come on out and watch Brian do his thing. That'll be pretty cool. And Saturday, also pretty cool, Brian Mason will be hosting Olivia Chow, who will be at the Bonnie Doon Community League, 7 p.m. Saturday night. Come on out, check out for more details. They're all at albertandp.ca. Once again, if you have dinosaur questions, you can catch me over Facebook or tweet me at johnalanashton. That's JOHNALANASHTON. If you're watching us on YouTube, it is right below there, all where you can tweet at us. All right. Well, thank you once again. This has been spectacular, and I've learned a ton. And yeah.
It's really good schist.
Thank you for that.